Hello, everyone. This is Kelly Beard of KarmicTools.com, and this is our special story time from the Venus Circle. We are coming down to the last 2 months of this cycle, and I have opened it up to extend an invitation to others to join us to see if they would like to join us for the new cycle. I think I will be doing my open house before Christmas to get everybody's books made and things, right? So stay tuned for details on that. For now, I want you to settle in, for Scheherazade is our story, and our archetype this month is the storyteller, because we have officially arrived at where we need to expand our imaginations to bring in our unique essence to add to the new story or the new narrative that we're living into going forward. For those of you new to the Venus Circle, we had 9 months of release work that kicked off in our Gemini departments. And that started in spring of 2020, and it went all the way to spring of 2021. We let go of all the old stories, belief systems, and things that got us there, right? And then in March of 2021, Venus and Sun linked up in Aries, kicking off a new purpose or identity or passion or direction in life, but a huge embodiment, right? Aries wants to do it and be it, doesn't want to talk about it, right? It wants to have the actual experience. So my theory is that we cleared out the old ideas and beliefs, opened up to some new ones, and now we're walking forward, embodying this higher level of identity and purpose. As we do that, we come up to next month and the month after, where she lingers for 4 months in Capricorn and resets everything there, just like she did a year and a half ago in Gemini. So for the big cycle, we look at it like we just had all these different ideas and options and opportunities to change our thinking and to explore possibilities we would have never considered before 2020. Isn't that interesting? And when she lingers in Capricorn, she's going to ask us to finally make a commitment. We haven't been able to commit, even if we wanted to. It's been hard. We haven't been able to make our containers the way we want to. That too has been challenging. Once she digs up in Capricorn, we're going to gather the pieces we need to start putting those foundations together. And so this is wrapping up of the old cycle where we get together. Our actual activation is October 9th, where the Venus and Moon will get together at 2 degrees of Sag. And we're reclaiming at the Sacral Chakra, which is the creative center. So this month is going to activate the Sag part of you that expands your conscious awareness so that we can begin to incorporate more diversity into your new truth and story. So that's the thing. We've sort of got it started, but now we're going to flesh it out. It's time to think bigger in some way. Expand the vision to incorporate all that you've learned in the last year or so. When you know better, you do better. And when you actually apply what you know, it becomes embodied wisdom. Deep breath. And that's ultimately Sag's goal. The storyteller archetype asks that you get creative and expand the possibilities for your life. Your creations are an extension of you. They reflect whatever is going on in your own consciousness. It's time to improve any ideas that you've been cultivating over the last cycle and gather any wisdom garnered along the way so that you can expand the truth and story that you're living into at this time. Shadow storyteller is a gossip, liar, or someone who manipulates the truth for selfish gain. Of course, we are shedding all that. Scheherazade, the story, asks you to get super creative. She reminds you that the imagination is infinite, and if you can dream it, you can achieve it on some level. She teaches the value of an interesting story that excites and illuminates, even as it teaches and guides. You want to inspire rather than convince. Even more important are the characters you infuse with your heart, soul, and imagination so that they can come to life and be your companions on the journey. Deep breath. Scheherazade helps you reclaim an altogether new vision and breathe new life into your own story. So let's dive into the story. Now, just another heads up, on our release work, we used Women Who Run with the Wolves by Clarissa Pinkola Estes, but on the Reclamation side, we are using Wisdom's Daughters, How Women Can Change the World by Kathy Pagano, and that's Kathy with a C. And we love her. She's a Jungian analyst and a dream expert and an astrologer and my friend and colleague, and she's so good at the dreams and imagination piece and has helped me so much over the years that I was so excited when she wrote this book. It's like having Kathy in my pocket right here, because she really does help me get out of my linear thinking that I've been so conditioned to. And I hope it speaks to your heart and your imagination as well. So sit back, relax, and enjoy story time. Scheherazade. Once there lived a sultan who discovered that his wife was betraying him by taking as her lover a black slave. After killing them both, he vowed that since no woman could be trusted, he would wed one every day and have her strangled the next morning. The sultan ordered his vizier to provide him with a new wife every day. This the vizier did reluctantly but dutifully. The people of the kingdom grew more sorrowful every day, as more of their daughters were taken from them and put to death. The sultan, who was once much loved by his people, was now hated. Finally, the vizier's own daughter, Scheherazade, a woman of surpassing knowledge, wit, and beauty, determined to find a way to stop the slaughter. She demanded that her father give her as a bride to the sultan, for the sultan had exempted the vizier's daughters from his edict. Her father was horrified, but she insisted, and he finally relented. Before the wedding, Scheherazade told her sister to come to her bedchamber in the night and ask her to tell one last story before she died. This she did, and with the sultan's permission, Scheherazade began to tell a story, but with the coming of dawn, stopped at just such a place that the sultan wished to hear what was coming next. Therefore he let her live for one more day, and each night her stories were never completely told, and the sultan let Scheherazade live one more day, so that he could hear her stories. And so, for 1,001 nights, Scheherazade told stories of love and betrayal, innocence and duplicity, wonder and intrigue, secret dreams and amazing discoveries, until the dawn came when she had no more stories to tell. As she waited for her husband's decision, for now he could kill her despite their 3 children, the sultan realized how loyal Scheherazade had proved to be, and he saw the injustice of his vow, because he finally understood how fragile our human consciousness is and how we all fail at some point in our lives and have to face the consequences. However horrible the price had been, the sultan wisely chose to learn from his mistakes because of Scheherazade and her stories. He understood something more about love than he had before, and after this, he always gave Scheherazade respect for her wisdom and honor for her valor. Deep breath. We have to be more imaginative. We have to outwit the crazy, right? You can't reason with it. Might as well outwit it. Use your imagination. Activate it now. So this is coming from Chapter 2, The Rebirth of Feminine Language, Reclaiming Our Imagination. Albert Einstein said that imagination is more important than knowledge. If imagination is so important to our lives, why aren't we trained in its use? What is the power of the imagination that it can move us to tears, to action, to love, to surrender, to death, to transformation? Both mystics and quantum physicists know that the human imagination is the most creative faculty that we possess. Imagination is involved in magical working, as well as the transformation of consciousness. Imagination is the source of manifestation, and the imagination is sourced in feminine consciousness. Get the memo. Deep breath. The power of the imagination. An important tool we ignore to our detriment is the element of human imagination, the voice of feminine spirit. We misuse our modern media and overstress left-brain thinking in our schools, and so our imaginations stagnate. Our quest for scientific objectivity has taken a wrong turn because we have rejected the place of imagination in the search for truth. Deep breath. William Irwin Thompson speaks of imagination as the awareness of the unseen, also known as the feminine part of life. Imagination is needed to shape a theory or a hypothesis, and Whitehead argued a long time ago that pure induction could never produce a scientific view of the world. A heap of facts was useless, and neither a Homeric epic nor a scientific theory of evolution could could ever be produced from mere facts. For people in a pre-scientific culture, people endowed with acute powers of observation and remarkable sensitivity, there was no way to imagine the life at one's feet except through the poetic imagination which made the little creatures half human. And in a way, this poetic imagination of the ancients is more sensitive to humanity's embeddedness in the biosphere. For in seeing the quote-unquote little people as half human, the ancient Irish fairy faith recognized that there is no us and them, that we are in them and they are in us. Deep breath. The imagination is therefore not a source of deception and delusion, but a capacity to sense what you do not know, to intuit what you cannot understand, and to be more than you can know. Deep breath. That's William Irwin Thompson. So back to Kathy. Most of us don't take responsibility for our imaginations, and so we engage in daydreams that have little meaning other than childish wish fulfillment. But Jane Roberts, in her Seth books, shows that imagination is much more than that. She quotes, "Imagination also plays an important part in your subjective life, as it gives mobility to your beliefs. It is one of the motivating agencies that helps transform your beliefs into physical experience." So what I say earlier about embodied wisdom. It is vital, therefore, that you understand the interrelationship between ideas and imagination. In order to dislodge unsuitable beliefs and establish new ones, you must learn to use your imagination to move concepts in and out of your mind. The proper use of imagination can then propel ideas in the directions that you desire. Deep breath. So then Kathy says, if we don't acknowledge and use our creative imaginations, we are ignoring a psychic reality that operates on us according to its own laws and patterns. We become blind to the unknown parts of ourselves, and we forget soul. Deep breath. She has another quote here. "For the creative imagination is not so named with some metaphorical intent, nor in a spirit of fiction, but in the full sense of the term. The imagination creates and is universal creation itself. Every reality is imaginal because it is able to present itself as a reality." Back to Kathy. Along with a rejection of deep spiritual nature within ourselves, we have rejected this feminine mode of consciousness, which is imaginative, playful, and mysterious. It is time for women to rediscover our feminine wisdom. Men have always been fearful of and yet attracted to this aspect of the feminine imagination. Why else would they have such a love-hate relationship with the enchantress in women? This is also why most men have always projected their souls onto women, for they just don't understand how to use imagination like women do. That is another reason to learn it. Women have to teach men its proper use and function, because right now the masculine mind uses the imagination to dominate and manipulate people. Our rational scientific worldview has flattened out our lives into a two-dimensional, spiritless travesty of what we might become. It narrows our options and imprisons our vision. The inner mystery is ignored until it sends us symptoms, like gifts, to enlarge our vision of the meaning of our lives. Deep breath. That is why so many people have started down the spiritual path through the psychologist's office. The word psyche and the word soul are related. The Oxford English Dictionary explains the word psyche thus: breath or to breathe, hence life, the animating principle in man and other living beings, the source of all vital activities, rational or irrational, the soul or spirit in distinction to the body. It is also considered the animating principle of the universe as a whole, the anima mundi, or the world soul. Deep breath. Psychology itself deals with the logos of psyche, the meaning of soul. The Greek philosopher said you could not discover the limits of soul or psyche, even if you traveled every road to do so. Such is the depth of its meaning. To go into the depths, to deepen events into experience, to look for many layers of meaning in our lives, to engage in imaginal work. This is something to be desired if we are to fill our lives with something more than addictions and mindless entertainments. Deep breath. When we entertain the notion of soul, we once again get back in touch with the vital activities of life, the rational thinking activities, and the irrational imaginative ones. It is the imaginative function of psyche or soul which entices us to dive into the depths of life's mysteries. And it is through psyche that we transcend our human isolation and become a part of the whole, a part of the world soul. It is the knowledge that each one of us is a part of this larger whole, that we each contain a spark of divinity, which gives us the courage to confront the mysteries of life. Like Jacob wrestling with the angel all night, we each must wrestle with this angel of mystery until we claim the gift of our individual lives and names. Deep breath. To enter the mysteries, which is one meaning of the word mysticism, we must go into the place of mystery. We must go into the place of soul or psyche. We must encounter the unconscious within and discover for ourselves the reality of the human psyche. It is there that we will discover the repressed feminine spirit and reclaim our native ability to understand symbolic language. There we can reclaim our ancestral roots and our ties to the ancient feminine wisdom. It is through the imagination that we begin to reclaim the gifts of the feminine spirit. And the first of these gifts is joy. And I have one more piece I want to share with you in our story time because I do want to spark the imagination and get you all thinking in a new and different way. The lost language of symbols, a language of meaning. What we have lost with the repression of the imagination is our own understanding of symbolic language. Because imagination has been repressed, it is easier to manipulate it and us because the symbols retain their power, even when we are unconscious of them. A symbol always points beyond itself to something unknown. It is a bridge between the unconscious and consciousness. For although the meaning of a symbol can never be exhausted, it is the best way to represent the unknown reality that is trying to be expressed. Symbolic language speaks of such intangibles as feelings, moods, values, and ideas that cannot be rationally understood or explained. It is a language women prefer, even though it has led us to be called incomprehensible. It is a language of deepening, a language that wakes things up within us and gives us an experience of our own depths. It is the very voice of Lady Wisdom. It is the way we learn of and relate to the ways of the cosmos. Deep breath. This is the education that our people have been denied. This is the knowledge that can bring the healing of the passions of matter. For the symbols and the stories connect us to the patterns which make us human, the patterns which can take us past the stuck places or the hurdles in our lives and on to the next part of our journey into life. These archetypal images contain and focus our energies and help tame the passions that would keep us unconscious of the meaning of our lives. And yet our Western educational system does not teach us how to work with the imagination, or even how to think about and understand our place in the universe. We no longer look to nature, Earth's cycles and laws, for an understanding of our own human nature, for the rational mind has preempted that knowledge for itself. We are not taught about the patterns of human behavior or the necessity of suffering for growth in consciousness. Modern education shunts people into an economic structure. Our children are often not trained in the gifts of creativity and imagination that are their birthright, for these talents are not valued by the corporate entities that run the world. The most amazing gap in our education has to do with the very thing all human beings desire most. We do not teach our people how to be in relationship, either with the self or another. The very thing we want most is the biggest mystery to us. For though love will always remain a divine mystery, we could learn to become vessels for the power of this mystery. Deep breath. Become a vessel for the power of the mystery of love. See what I mean? I love Kathy. It is time to give service to our community and to our nation because it is only in this way that we can know what we value. We need guiding images to contain and express the energies of our people. We are divided within ourselves. We say we value honesty and truth, yet our politicians are dishonest, our bankers commit fraud, and we admire power and wealth over simplicity, humility, and individuality. The story of the Tower of Babel comes to mind. We are all talking gibberish and can no longer understand each other. We are divided within and without. We have forgotten how to be simple and direct, or how to attune ourselves to the spirit of life. Most often, we seem to be enfolded in the arms of the angel of death, and we would rather stay with a known dis-ease than struggle with the unknown in life. Deep breath. The only way to meet death is to face it. If we are to come through this chaotic time into a new birth, we must reclaim the use of our imaginations so we can give birth to new images that will describe our new experience of life and the world. This coincides with a return of feminine spirit, for the goddess is the birther and the great transformer. The East calls her Maya of the 10,000 faces. When we meet and name those 10,000 faces, we will finally understand the voice of Lady Wisdom, who is the spirit in nature, both the world's nature and our human nature. And we can only come to that place with a loving heart. Otherwise, we will continue to misunderstand and misuse the power of images. Like the famous storyteller Scheherazade, I hope the images and stories I tell you will keep you wondering about what is coming next. I want to shower your right brain with images. As Matthew Fox once said at a workshop, perhaps some images will speak so strongly to you that you will follow it to a new place and a new wisdom. The power of the imagination must be respected and understood so we can make choices that are honorable and life-giving. With the proper use of the imagination, we can create a new reality. The story of Scheherazade is a wonderful example of the power of stories and images to transform consciousness. Although safe because she was the daughter of the Sultan's vizier, she made a free choice to try to change her world. Through her bravery and cunning and storytelling ability, she saved the women of her kingdom, and she saved her man. What's better than that? We live in a society that is mythologically and imaginally illiterate, where mistrust and misunderstanding of the imagination has led to a psychic wasteland. We have lost touch with our collective stories that shape a world of hope and aspiration. Hollywood has polluted our psyches as we have polluted our world. We need to clean out and clean up our collective psyche. We need to re-mythologize our world and come up with creative solutions if we are to birth a new world and evolve to a new level of human consciousness. Deep breath. I thought this was such a perfect time for the month of Sag, when I do tend to tell folks to use your imagination and push your limits, think bigger. And right now, I would just add that post-2020, kind of like post-2012, kind of like post-9/11, we keep having these markers on the timeline that advance us quickly. It's like a wormhole, y'all. We have jumped timelines and gone into a new zone where if we haven't lost access to our imaginations, we can create the new reality. But it starts with you telling your own story in a new way, activating that imagination and expanding your own vision for yourself first, because as soon as you can do that, then you can expand it for the rest of your world. So I hope you like the story and the follow-up. When we get together on Thursday, we will cover imagination is the language of the feminine spirit, and imagination is more important than knowledge. Those were really deep too. I had to share them all. But I just want to wet your whistle. I hope you consider joining us. And if you can't join us live, let me know if you want the replay. And all of this is to invite you and anyone you think would resonate with my work to think about joining the new Venus Circle when it starts in November, December. We'll probably have the open house, which is always free, and introduction to the cycle in early December. And then we'll kick off the new cycle January. But we can get the readings and the workbooks done early. So let me know if you want to join. The new cycle is going to be Capricorn Libra. So it's going to affect my Cancer, Capricorn, and Aries Libra people more. However, this Gemini cycle, no one's exempt, y'all. We all have it somewhere, right? So the themes are just shifting. We're going from airy Gemini to earthy Capricorn. We're going from all those ideas and possibilities to having to make a commitment to some of them and narrow things down and get serious about some things and change the way we build and are responsible for ourselves and our world, right? That's what's evolving ultimately, because Venus is our values and priorities. And if we stay with it, practicing that conscious evolution every 18 months, which is when she retrogrades and affects us as individuals, and we kind of individually shift our values and priorities. But right now, going back to Capricorn every 8 years means that the last time she did this big cleansing in Capricorn was 2013. So look at any common themes that are coming back around from 2012, 2013, and 14 to right now, 2020, 2021, and 22. It's all back again. So you might be able to even figure out a connection that helps you navigate this time with more conscious awareness of your own needs and your own values and your own priorities, because ultimately that's my goal, is to keep you centered on you. I think if the individuals get it together, the globe will be okay. So I like supporting the individuals. All right, everyone. I hope you enjoyed story time. Please share it with others. Invite others to our Thursday night gathering to drop in and join us. This is Kelly Beard of Karmic Tools signing off.